Hello and welcome to Canaries Chat Football. This is an extension of the Canaries Chat channel. We're not going to be talking Norwich City on this one. We're going to be talking all things football, doing tier lists, doing transfers, all stuff like that. The first video is going to be a transfer video around kind of some breaking transfer news and what's going on in the world of football. We are going to probably be looking more around like Premier League clubs and things along those lines. So if you want to support the channel, help us grow, click the subscribe button down below. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first bit of news is that Brennan Johnson, Tottenham kind of winger slash striker who came over from Nottingham Forest, is looking like he will be leaving Tottenham. Crystal Palace have supposedly agreed a deal with Tottenham for around about £35 million. It is now down to the 24-year-old Welshman, Johnson, to decide whether he wants that move to Crystal Palace. Obviously, Palace have been growing in stature the last few years. They're obviously in European football at the moment. Johnson is struggling within this Tottenham side. I don't think anyone's necessarily thriving in it, but it does sound like they're looking for a way to cash out of that deal that they did with Forest to get him over to Palace. Personally, I think it could be a good move. Obviously, the likes of Nketiah have gone to Palace, who again is coming from a big club to Crystal Palace. Maybe hasn't hit the ground running how they thought he would when they signed him. You've obviously got Mateta there, you've got Sarr there, the fundamentals of Crystal Palace at the back, Gay, Munoz as well. They are building something really good. Obviously, Gay's expected to go as well. But yeah, as it stands, it's now kind of up to Johnson whether he decides if he wants to go to Crystal Palace or not. For me, I think I'd go. I think Palace are a team that are on the up. Tottenham have obviously slipped. I'm not expecting Tottenham to stay in this position for years and years, but under Frank, it doesn't look like they're necessarily moving in the right direction. The second transfer we're going to talk about, which also has a knock-on effect on a few other players, is Semenyo. So supposedly said no to Tottenham, Chelsea aren't interested. It will be Man City that will be triggering the £65 million release clause. For me, it's a little bit of an odd one. There's no formal approach yet, but Man City, by the sounds of it, will be the ones that will go for him. You've got a kind of attacking team that has kind of talent coming out of the seas. You've got Semenyo, you've got Bob, you've got Cherky, you've got Doku, you've got Foden. They're all players that would get into probably most teams in the Premier League. Obviously, Semenyo's fallen a little bit more out of favour. Doku was obviously on the up, had a little bit of an injury, and Bob was meant to be kind of the next step on Foden, to kind of be that talent that's just coming through Man City. There's big kind of expectations on Bob's shoulders. He unfortunately has suffered with a few injuries. There's no kind of figures being touted. Tottenham, again, are a team that are interested, but it does seem at the moment Dortmund could be a front runner. Obviously, Dortmund, one of those teams that are very good at nurturing young talent, bringing them through that system, whether it's through their academy or buying young and then working through. You only have to look at Bellingham to see what exactly they can do. For me, the weird bit is that with Semenyo going to Man City, there is now a difficult situation. Doku's not going, Foden's not going, Cherky's not going to go. Obviously, you need a very kind of decently stacked squad, especially if you're Man City, which I think they had with Semenyo and Bob. I think Semenyo is not going to be getting the game time that he probably could have got if he went to another big club. I know Liverpool were potentially interested. It just feels a little bit of an odd one for me. I think if they move Bob on, and obviously he will then move up into that kind of pecking order, I think he'll then go above Semenyo. The real question is does he get in above Doku, and does he get in above Cherky? For me, I'm a huge Cherky fan. Kind of knew about him quite early on within his Lyon days. He's one of those kind of players that plays with flair, freedom, which I know Guardiola sometimes doesn't especially like. But for me, fully fit Doku, Cherki, Foden works well. Does Semenyo then come in at any point to kind of take one of those spaces for rotation reasons? Yes, but I think if Pep was picking his stronger squad, I'm not necessarily sure he does. But it is one of those ones that does have that knock-on effect. So if Semenyo comes in, we can expect Bob to go. Bob is then potentially going to be going to Tottenham, Dortmund. There are plenty of people, plenty of clubs that would be after him, I'm sure. If I was kind of Newcastle, Villa, teams like that, I'd be absolutely all over that, because I think he could be an unbelievable signing. Get him a fully fit season, and I think he would be one of the best attacking midfielders in the league for me anyway. But so that is the update on Semenyo, and that is the update on Oscar Bob. The next one we've got is Ricardo Pepi. So again, another player that we've known about for a little while. Was at FC Dallas, went over to Augsburg, and then has spent a few seasons now in Holland. West Ham had a £25 million bid, I believe, rejected a year ago, and now Fulham are supposedly interested in the 22-year-old. He's obviously going to be trying to make attempt to get into that World Cup squad. Is it better that he moves to the Premier League to get that done? Potentially. The PSV supposedly value him around 40 million. Fulham obviously have Jimenez, who is aging, for £5 million. He's arguably one of the best buys they've made. He came in to replace Mitrovic and done a very good job there. And it's whether Ricardo Pepi is then the big signing. They've obviously got Muniz, who unfortunately I think has made about 7 appearances for Fulham this year, injured, hasn't been able to get back into that kind of really good, maybe arguably purple patch form that he had last year, and because of the injury. So he could come in there. Would you then drop Jimenez? I think that would be very harsh to drop Jimenez with what he's doing for the club. Pepi though is, I think, 7 goals in 14 games. He got, I think, 11 in 18 last year. Is then who do you prioritise the here and now with Jimenez, or do you prioritise the future? At some point, the kind of change of the guard has to happen. And I think potentially this year could be this year. That year, sorry. I think with Fulham, they're going to be safe. There's no doubt about that, in my opinion. So maybe it's that time to start bleeding in the next striker to replace Jimenez, quite possibly. And then lastly, the last transfer for this video is Josh Sargent from Norwich to West Ham. There are rumours going about he had an injury, concussion. There is rumours that is he potentially kind of having more time off around concussion to protect a move, and hiding behind that. The club have made it very clear that is not the case, but there's always going to be those rumours anyway. You've got West Ham in desperate need of a striker. There's talks about Hadji Wright and Josh Sargent. Josh Sargent will probably cost in excess of 17 million. I think realistically at this point in time, Norwich have found a replacement in Bakama, who has stepped up. But at the end of the day, Josh Sargent is one of the best strikers in the Championship, so he's going to come at a premium. Fulkrug is supposedly linked with AC Milan, so that's another striker they'll be losing. Again, he hasn't set the world alight in the Premier League, but that is squad depth that they are losing yet again. So Sargent, 20 million, around that mark. Didn't set the world alight when he was in the Premier League, has been good in Championship. He's injury prone though, unfortunately. It would be a big risk if West Ham are looking for him to be that striker that gets them out of a relegation battle. That for me is a very big risk. They need to go for a more Prem-proven striker, in my opinion. But there's only small rumours about that. The kind of Johnson, Semenyo and Oscar Bob stuff are a bit more concrete in regards to kind of the likelihood of happening and things along those lines. But that is all the transfer news for today. As I said, if you're enjoying the video, you enjoy this kind of content, leave a like and subscribe. Comment down below as well on these transfers, and we'll see you very shortly for another video.